Welcome back, everyone. First, I want to acknowledge the fact that you guys are posting my videos. May God continue to bless you guys. Today we'll be looking at bearing and distance. But before I start bearing and distance, I would like to throw a little more light relating to our last topic, which has to do with combination of sine and cosine rule, which is of a great importance to the topic we're about to enter, bearing and distance. Now we have a question on the whiteboard. It says, in the figure below, all lengths are in centimeter. They said find xz, angle yxz, and angle xzy. This is my sz, this is my yxz, and this is my szy. Now, how do I get it? The first thing I have to do is to look for, if I want to get my sz directly, if I want to get my sz, then I should know this angle, because this is not a true shape of a triangle. PXZQ is equilateral, so I can't get it directly. So what I want to do is to move from the side I can easily get, and the angles I can easily get as well, before thinking of this my what, xz. Now, the first thing I can get my angle theta, because I know my side PQ, and I know my what, PY, and I know my angle PQY. Now, let me draw a smaller triangle. This is my Y, this is my P, this is my Q, this is my 40 degree, this is my angle theta, this is my 4 centimeter, and this is my 6 centimeter. Now, I know I'm looking for angle theta. I know my side C facing theta, and I have my 40 degree for angle Q, and I also know my side facing what, Q, which is PY. Now I can simply have PQ all over sine theta will be equals to PY all over sine Q. So PQ is 6 all over sine theta to be equals to PY. PY is 4. 4 all over my angle Q is what? 40 degrees. So I have sine what? 40 degree. Now if I cross multiply, I'll have 4 sine theta equals 6 sine 40 degree. Or divide through by 4 so that sine theta will stand on his own. So I have sine theta to give me 6 sine 40 divided by 4, giving me 0.9642. So my theta will be equals to what? Sine inverse of 0.9642. So theta will be equals to shift sign of my what answer, giving me 74.62 degree. So I've gotten my first angle. I can replace it here. 74.62 degree. After getting theta, I can therefore get my what? 74.62 degree. I can therefore get my what? YQ. But before I can get my YQ, I should know angle what? P. But remember, in that little triangle there, P plus Y plus Q must be equals to what? 180 degrees, sum of angles in a triangle. And I'm looking for my P. My angle Y there represents theta, which is what? 74.62 degree. Plus my angle Q, which is what? 40 degree, equals to 180 degree. So my angle P will be equals to 180 degree minus 74.62 degree minus 40 degree, which gives me 180 minus 74.62 minus 40, giving me 65.38 degree. So my angle P is what? 65.38 degree. 65.38 degree. Now I can get my YQ using either cosine rule, since I know the two sides are the included angle, or I use my sine rule. So I'll quickly use my sine rule. Using my sine rule, I'll have my YQ all over sine P equals to what? 4, which is what? PY all over sine Q. Now my YQ is what? YQ is my question. So I have my YQ all over angle P is what? 65.38 degree equals to PY. PY is what? 4 all over my angle Q, 40 what? Degree. So I'll have my YP, my YQ rather, to be equals to 4 sine 65.38 degree divided by sine 40 degree. So my YQ will be equals to 4 sine 65.38 divided by sine 40, giving me 5.657 degree. So I've gotten this side 5.657 what? Centimeter, not degree, it's a side. 5.657 centimeter. Now we verify, where is the biggest angle? The biggest angle is 64.62 degree and it carries the biggest side. The next angle that is bigger is 65.38, which gives me 5.657 as the corresponding side. And the least angle is 40 degree and it has the least side, which is YP, 4 centimeter. So this angle is justified. Now, they didn't ask us for any of these angles, remember. But since I've gotten this, I can therefore get my side. Now I'm using the bigger triangle. So to get my SZ, I can take my SZ, let me draw a diagram for clarity. So this is my Y, this is my Z, and this is my what? X. Now you can see that YZ is 3, YP is 4, PX is 3. So XY rather will be YP plus PX, which equals 4 plus 3, which gives you what? 7. So I have my 7 here. And YZ in the same way will be with 5.657 plus 2, giving me 7.657. Now I know my angle, which is what? 74.62 what? Degree. Now I'm no longer using the inner triangle, remember. Now, I know two sides and an included angle. I can simply use my what? Cosine rule. So I have my HZ squared to be equals to XY square plus YZ square minus because this is less than, the angle in between is less than 90. So I have 2 in bracket SY in brackets again YZ cos 74 points, or I can simply say cos what? Angle Y. Now I'll put my values. SZ square will be equals to my XY is what? 7. So I have 7 square plus YZ 7.657 square minus 2 times 7 times 7.657 cos 74.62 what? Degree. Now I can press this out directly. You can show your working since you are students. So I have my 7 square plus 7.657 square minus 2 times 7 times 7.657 cos 74.62, and that will give me 79.18199 centimeter. So I'm looking for SZ. I must take the square root from both sides. 79.199. So my square root of answer will give me my what? SZ to be equals to 8.899 centimeter. So this, or let me use here, 8.899. 8.899. Now I've gotten my first side. So this 8.899. First question asked. Now let's check for the angles. Now for the angles, this is the first angle. Let's use here. This is the first angle. Now, I have this angle and this side known. I have this side known, so I can use sine wave to get my what? X. So, from this triangle, my side, YZ, using sine wave again, all over. Remember, we know the three sides. We can use cosine rule to get the three angles, remember. So we have YZ all over sine of what? X should be equals to XZ all over sine Y. I'll put my values. This is my what? YZ, and it's 7.657 all over sine. My X here represents what? YXZ. Angle YXZ to be equals to what? XZ, which is 8.899 all over sine Y. My sine of Y, my angle Y is what? 74.62 what? Degree. Now to make this sort of formula, I will have, let me show the working. 8.899 sine of angle YSZ will be equals to 7.657 sine 74.62 what? Degree. Now I must divide through by 8.899 all over 8.899. So this we cancel this, and I'll have my sine of angle YSZ to be equals to, resolving this, I'll have 7.657 sine 74.62 equal this, and divide by 8.899. I will have 0.8296. So my angle YSZ will be equals to sine inverse of 0.8296. So my angle YSZ will be equals to shift sine of my answer, giving me, let's verify, YSZ 8.899 all of 8.899 sine YSZ equals to 7. Where is it? 7.6 sine 48 all over 8.899. Yeah. Let's see when we use, let's try to use, where is it? YZ 7. Where is YZ? 7.6 all over sine X. So I'll simply have 7.657 sine 74.62 like 8.899. So we have 56. So we have 56.06 degree for this. Now we can simply get our angle Z. To get our angle Z, we can use cosine rule if we choose to. Let me clean this side. So to get my angle Z, I can choose to use, I'm looking for this, I can use cosine rule if I choose to. So I'll have my Z to be equals to cos inverse of the three sides. So I should have S square plus Y square minus small letter Z square all over 2x what? Y. And this will give me cos inverse of, my X is what? This facing this angle, which is 7.657 square plus my Y. Where's my Y? My Y is 8.899 square minus my Z, 7 square, all over 2 times 7.657 times 8.899. And my cos inverse will give me, I want to resolve everything there once, 7.657 square plus 8.899 square minus 7 square equals this, divided by the denominator, 2 times 7 times 2 times 8, 2 times 7.657 times 8.899, and I'll have this as 0.6518. And my cos inverse of this rather will give me 49.32, I can say 33 degree. Now if I've gotten this, this Z is equivalent to what? XZY, because I'm talking about just this triangle. So angle Z is equal to angle what? X, where is it? XZY, angle SZY. So we go to the angle SZY as what? Let me use this big angle. Angle SZY as 49.33 degree, and this have been known. So let's sum up to see if our values are correct. So angle Y is, using the bigger triangle, 74.62 plus my angle Z 49.33 plus my angle X 56.06, and I have relatively 180.01, which is absolutely what? Close. So these are our what? Values. So my angle SZY is 49.33 degree approximately, and YXZ is 56.06 what? Degree. So this is the answer to our question. We can now start bearing and distance fully. Now we can enter bearing and distance fully, since we are done with SOHCAHTOA, we are done with Pythagoras theorem, we are done with sine and cosine rule and their application. We can now focus on bearing and distance, and bearing and distance has to do with the application of your understanding on sine, cosine, sine rule, cosine rule, Pythagoras theorem, and even SOHCAHTOA. So I'll start with what bearing is. Bearing is simply an angular distance that is measured from a reference point, being it 0, 0 degree or from the north. And we have two types of bearing. We have the compass bearing and the three-figure word bearing. And the three-figure words bearing. For compass bearing, we generally make use of our cardinal points, and we have 4 major cardinal points, which are the north, south, and the west, east. This explanation, please. So for the compass bearing, it makes use of the words cardinal points, north, south, west, east, and the angle between two cardinal points is what? 90 degree, which is a right angle. So the bearing between north east is 90 degree. The bearing between south east is 90 degree. The bearing between southwest is 90 degree, and the bearing between north south is 90 degree. For cardinal bearing normally starts from the north and also from the south. That's to say, I can have north, let me say 30 degree east. North 30 degree east now can be represented as this 30 degree north east. So this is my 30 degree. The angle here is 30 degree. And if the angle here is 30 degree, you agree with me that here should be 90 degree. Why? The full cardinal point northeast is 90 degree. And 30 degree has been used by this line. So we have this position to this position Let me try to use two different pens. So we have, let me start again. So representation of this 90 not 30 degree. Representation of this, we simply have this as, let's say this is the angle, and this angle now happens to be what? Let me say this is P. Let me assume that as P. Now, this angle here to here now is 30 degree. And we said each right angle is what? 90 degree, which is between two cardinal points, we have 90 degree. So the total angle for northeast is what? 90 degree. So if these have sustained 30 degree already, then this second angle here becomes what? 90 minus 30, which gives me what? 60 degree. So we have north and east here. So this is the representation of north, 30 degree east. This is it. North 30 degree what? East. Now, we can have another. Let's say we have south 40 degree what? West. Now we have this. Remember, this is our west. These are east. These are north. And these are south. Now, south 40 degree west simply makes an angle of 40 degree will be northward pole. So this is 40 degree. So this is south 40 degree what? West. The angle must be inclined with either north or what? South. So since it said south, it must be inclined. It must make an angle with the what? South. So this is what the point we are talking about. South 40 degree what? West. If this is 40 degree, then here become what? This become 90 degree minus 40 degree, which gives you what? 50 what? Degree. So this is how you represent bearing using the words using the compass word bearing what? Notation. And please remember, if we have southwest, for instance, the word southwest simply means these are west and these are south, northeast. If you hear southwest without giving an angle in between, it simply means to bisect southwest. And if I bisect an angle, it will give me half of the angle. That simply means if this is let me assume this is a pair of compass. If I bisect here, place my pair of compass, the pin here, I cut here, place here and I cut here, I'll have this angle here to here. If this is P, and let me say this is O, I will have angle WOP to be equal to angle POX. Both will what? 45 degree. What do I mean? Southwest simply means south, 45 degree what? West. In the same way, northwest means north, 45 degree what? North, 45 degree what? West, northwest. So take note. Let's hold on to that, and so we can explain our three-figure what? Bearing. So the second explanation, three-figure what? Bearing. Three-figure bearing are bearings that generally start from the north. Three-figure bearing must start from the north. Take note. So three-figure bearing must start from the north. And the word three-figure means it must carry what? 3 digits. So if I say 30 degree, I'm wrong. It should be 030 degree. 030 degree. This first 0 is just to make it three-figure. It does not change anything. It's just to make you know they are talking about what? Bearing. Because 30 degree as an angle is correct. But for bearing, it must carry what? 3 what? Figures. So you put 0 at the front, it will give you 030 what? Degree, not 30 what? Degree. Take note. So in the same way, any angle that is less than 100 degree, you simply what? Put 0 at the what? Front. An angle that is less than 900 degree, the highest you have of such an angle less than 100 degrees, simply what? 99 degrees, which is the highest what? Integer. So you simply put 0, become what? 99 what? 099 what? Degree. Take note, it must be 3 figures. But if I have 120 degrees, I don't need to add any 0 at the front. Why? It's already what? 3 what? Digits. Take note. And for 3 figure bearing, this is my 0 and it's also my 360 what? Degree. Take note. Here become my 90 degree. This become 180 degree and this become what? 270 what? Degree. 0 plus 90 is 90 degree. 90 plus 90 will give me 180. 180 plus 90 will give me 270. And 270 plus 90 will give me what? 360, which is equivalent to what? 0 degree as well. And this 0 degree is 0, 0, 0 what? Degree. Take note. So it starts at naught and end at what? Naught. And I started from 90 to 180 because a 3 figure bearing must move in a clockwise what? Direction. Take note. It must move in a clockwise what? Direction. So example of 3 figure bearing is 040 degree. Let me say 105 degree, 212 degree, 280, or let me say 312 degree. These 4 bearings are examples of what? Example of 3 figure bearing. Now, how do we position them? Let's position them using this on the Cartesian plane. Now, 40 degree, it must start from the north. And remember, if it was half, it will be exactly like this by setting into 2. So 40 degree should come up a little. So this is 40 degree. So we have 040 what? Degree for this. For this other one, we have 105 degree. This 0, 90, 180 and 270. For 105 degree, you see it's greater than 90, but less than what? 180. So it must be in between what? Southeast. Southeast. Now, if I say 105 minus 90, 105 minus 90 will give me 15. So I just have 15 degree. So from here to this angle, this is the point, is what? 105 degree. But this is my little angle here. My little angle here, from here to here. This little angle here will be what? 105 minus 90, which will give me what? 15 degree. Take note. So if this angle from 90 to here is 15 degree, this angle can be gotten to give you what? 90 minus 15. And 90 minus 15 will give me what? 75 degree. So you see the total of this, the total of southwest still give you this 15 here plus 75, which is what? 90 degree. Please take note. Now, how do I represent 202 degree? To represent my 212 degree rather, you see that this 0, 90, 180 and what? 270. So my 212 must be greater than what? 180. Since 212 is greater than 180, I can put my value here and this become my what? P. So I want to know the angle left here. Then you know from north, which is 0, down to 180, 180 has been used. So what will be left for this angle? What will be left will be 212 minus what? 180. Because north south is a straight line. So we have 212 minus what? 180. Giving us 32 what? Degree. So this angle becomes what? 32 degree. And this other angle here will be 90 minus 32 because each between two cardinal have an angle of 90 degree. So I'll say 90 minus 32 to give me here to be what? 58 what? Degree. So that's solution for what? 212 what? Degree. And this is 105 degree. So let's focus on the 312 degree. 312 degree, which is 312 degree. So we rule again, 312 degree. This 0, 0, 0 degree, also 360 degree, beginning and the end point. This is 90, this is 180, this is 270. Now we have 312. You agree with me that 312 is greater than 270. So we should be here. It's greater than 270, there's less than 360. Because no bearing can be greater than 360. Now, I'll simply say 312 minus what? 270. And I'll have 42. So the angle left here, the total angle here to here is what? 312 degree. And the little angle here is what? 312 degree minus 270 degree. That gives you what? 42 what? Degree. If this is 42 degree, the angle with respect to the north will be what? 90 minus 42, which gives me 48 what? Degree. So this is solution on how you represent your what? Angles for three figure what? Bearing. Now we'll look on how to convert three-figure bearing to compass bearing and compass bearing to three-figure bearing. So if we have convert 50 degree, 125 degree, 310 degree, and 278 degree. Convert all this to compass bearing. So if you are converting this to compass bearing, first remember here I have to carry what? 0. So how do I convert 050 degree to compass bearing? First, I must have my cardinal points. I'm focusing on 50 degree now. This is my north, south, west, east. Now, where is my 50 degree? 50 degrees between 0 and what? 90. So 50 is greater than 45. It will come down a little. And remember, these are what? Three-figure bearing. It must start from the north. So from here to here is what? 50 degree. Which is 050 degree. And here becomes 040 what? Degree. Why? If this is 50, here will be 40 to sum up to give you what? 90 degree. Now, I have 050 degree. But what I got is still in between north and what? East. So my answer should be, this is equivalent to north 50 degree what? East. So whenever an angle is less than 90 degree for figure bearing, you simply put north and east in between. And take note, if you don't want to represent this like this, you can simply say 50 degree east of north. 50 degree east. If you want the degree to come first, if you want east to come first before north, then you put the angle as the first, followed by the east before your what? North. So this north 50 degree is same as 50 degree east of what? North. Take note. And our second question is 125 degree. You can see that 125 is greater than 90, then less than what? 180. And this is my north, south, west, east. So if I check, first, I will say 125 minus 90, and I'll have 35 degree. So I can say here to here is what? 125 degree. 125 degree is my point P now. If this is 125 degree, then I'll say from north to this main point where the point is, the body is now, 125 degree. Now, if this is 125 degree, I can get my smaller angle the angle made with just here and here to be 125 minus 90, and that will give me 35 what degree. If this 35 degree, then this angle to make it 90 degree will be 90 minus 35 degree. So this angle become what? 55 what degree. So the bearing of 125 degree in compass bearing, remember I told you compass bearing must start either from the north or from the south. Since the angle form is below west and east, the angle will be related with what? South. If it's above west east, it will be represented with what? North. So this angle therefore will be is the angle inclined with this vertical north direction, this north direction. So 125 degree is equivalent to south 55 degree what? East. Take note. For compass bearing, you only have 2 digits. You don't have 3 digits. Take note. You don't need to put 0 here. You only use 3 digits for 3 figure what? Bearing. So the last, okay, the third is 210 what? Degree. degree. So this is north south, this is my westward east. Now 310 degree rather. 310 is greater than what? 270, but to be less than what? 360 what? Degree. Now 310. If I say 310 is coming from this way down to whatsoever we have here. If I say 310 minus what? 270 will give me 40. So I have here to here to be what? 310 degree. And if I minus 270 from 310, I will have this other angle here. I will have this angle here to be what? 40 degree. Then this is inclined with the what? West. So I need it to be inclined with the what? With the north. So to incline with the north, I simply have 90 minus 45. 90 minus 40, which will give me 50 what? Degree. Therefore, 310 degree is equivalent to north 50 degree what? West. Related to the west because it has passed west, it is above what? West east. Take note. Now, the last but not the least is 278 degree. 278 degree. So we have 278 degree that is greater than 270 degree. So we must start from the north. So 278 degree is greater than 270. Let's wait here. So we have 278 minus what? 270. And that gives us 8 degree, a very tiny angle. So this is 278 degree. Now, the little angle here will be what? 278 degree minus 270 degree. And that will give me this little angle to be 8 what? Degree. If I have 8 degree, then I'll say 90 minus 8 to have the angle it used as its inclination with the what? North. So that will be what? 90 minus 8, which will give me 82 what? Degree. So the bearing of 278 degree is equivalent to 82 degree north, 82 degree what? West, which is the same as 82 degree west of what? North. Please take note. So that's that. Now I want to explain forward and backward what? Bearing. Okay, we've explained conversion of compass, from what's it called? 3-figure bearing to compass bearing. So now let's see how we can convert to 3-figure. If we are giving compass bearing, let me say we have north, 40 degree east, north, 65 degree west, south 40 degree east, southwest, and south 35 degree west. So let's assume we have this. And note, for three-figure bearing, none of the angle will be greater than what? 90 degree. Because each angle between northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest are all what? 90 degree. So let's start. The first, we must draw our diagram. We have north-south here, north 40 degree. This is 40 degree, which is 040 what? Degree. If this is 40 degree and it's coming from the north, it still remain what? 40 degree. This is the point. So north 40 degree east is equals to 40 degree what? 40 degree as well. You just put 10 here to make it three figure. So north 40 degree east is equal to 040 degree in what? Three figure what? Bearing. And we have north 65 degree west. Now we're talking about northwest. This is my north, this is my west. Now we have 65 degree. 65 degree is inclined with the northern what? Direction. So this is my what? 65 what? Degree. If this is 65, what will be left here will become 90 minus 65. And 90 minus 65 gives you what? 25 what? Degree. Now you move from the north till it touches what? This position. So you see the equivalent of north 65 degree west will be equals to 90 degree for northwest, another 90 degree from south northeast, another 90 degree for southeast, another 90 degree for southwest, plus the little angle from there, which is 25 what? Degree. This is equivalent to say 270 degree plus 25 degree. And if you add up, you have 59 what? 2. You have 295 what? Degree as the equivalent of north 65 degree what? West. Now we have south 40 degree east, south 40 degree east. For south 40 degree east, this is north, south, west, east, remember. So 40 degree east, southeast. So my 40 degree must be inclined with the what? My south. So we have 40 degree here. And I'll move from this till it touches this what? Line, because this is the point, till it touches this line. This is already a right angle. So I'll need this little angle known. This little angle, for me to get this little angle, is simply southwest, the angle of southwest, which is 90 minus 40 degree, which will give you what? 50 degree. So we have our 50 degree here. So the bearing, the equivalent of south 40 degree east will be equals to this right angle, which is 90 degree, plus this little angle for which is northeast 90 degree, plus this 50 degree here, which will give you 140, which is 140 what? Degree. This is the equivalent of south 40 degree what? East. Now we have southwest. We have southwest. So for southwest, this is south and this is west. For southwest, I told you, since there's no angle in between, it means the angle which is southwest was bisected. If you bisect southwest, you have the angle of southwest shelled, and the angle of southwest is what? 90 degree. So the bisecting it will give you 45 degree each. So here is 45 degree, and here is equally what? 45 degrees, summing up to give you 90 degree. And I'll start from the north of it till it touches this what? Point. Now, the equivalent southwest will be equals to 90 degree northeast plus 90 degree southeast plus the angle between the south till it touches the line, which is 45 degree. So this is like 180 degree plus 45 degree. This will give me 5. Here 10, 12, 2 carry 1, 2. So will give me 225 what? Degree. Now we have south 35 degree what? West. South 35 degree west, which is the last on our list, though not the least. South 35 degree what? West. South 35 degree what? West. If I have this is my south, this is my west. The 35 degree must be made with the south. So this is my 35 degree. Again, I'll move from the north of it till it touches this point P. Now, I'll simply have 180 degree, which is the angle between northwest, plus this little angle formed before it touches this line, 35 what degree. And 0 plus 5 is 5. This is 10, 11, 1 carry 1, 2. And I'll have my equivalent of south 35 degree west to be 215 what degree. So I want to explain forward and backward bearing now. So it can be called forward and back bearing, or forward and reverse bearing. If the bearing of A from B is greater than or equal to 180 degree, comma, is greater than or equal to 180 degree, we subtract 180 degree from the angle. And if the bearing of A from B is less than 180 degree, comma, we add 180 degree to the bearing. This simply means if the bearing of A from B is greater than or equal to 180 degree, we subtract 180 from the bearing to get the back bearing. We do the same. We add this to the bearing to get the back bearing. So for the first information, theta is greater than or equal to what? 180 what degree. For the second, theta is less than what? 180 degree. So take note. If I'm looking, if they give me a bearing, what they're saying is, if they give me a bearing of A from B, let me say is 80 degree, and I'm asked to look for the bearing of B from A, I'll simply say 180 degree plus 80 degree. Why? The bearing, which is 80 degree, is what? Less than 180 degree. So I'll simply add 180 to it. But if the bearing is greater than 180, I'll simply what? I'll simply subtract 180 from it. So take notes. Let's do some examples. And this question is generally common in objective. And this is the foundation of bearing what? Problem. Take notes. Now, if the bearing of A from B is 40 degrees, 40 degree, comma, find the bearing of B from A. Solution. Now, they said if the bearing of A from B is 40 degree, find the bearing of B from A. First, you want to ask yourself, which have the bearing? Is it A that have this 40 degree, or is B that have this 40 degree? This bearing belongs to B. Immediately you see the word from, just rule till you see your what? Bearing given. So from B is 40 degree mean B owns the bearing using the word from. Take notes. Now, how do I draw it? I've already seen that B is what? Known. And 40 degree must be between south, north, east. Let me put the cardinal point for here so that we won't forget. Or let's put it here. North, south, west, east. This is highly important. If you interchange any, you fail that question completely. Take note. So the bearing of A from B is 40 degrees. I told you B owns the bearing. And 40 degrees between what? North, east, as you can see there. So we have it this way. So this is my 40 degree, this is my B. So this become my what? A. And there's what and this will give me what? 50 degree. Like I just explained. 90 minus 40 is 50. Now, what you must take note of is that there's what we call alternate angles in bearing. Is very, very important. If I have this, and I also have this, take note for this and this. This is not south. It's a perfect vertical line. This is also not south. It's a perfect vertical line as well. So any line I draw this way, I will form an alternate what? Angle. Meaning this angle here, forming something like Z. Look at it. Forming something like Z will be equal to this. Meaning if this is alpha, here must be what? Alpha. And this is also forming a kind of Z as well. If this is beta, this must also be what? Beta. Meaning if this is 40 degree, here must be what? 40 degree. And if this is 40 degree, you know if this is a straight line, here become what? 140 degree. And this is also 40 degree. Here is a straight line as well. Here become 140 what? Degree. So take note of alternate what? Angles when you are doing what? Bearing. So this is forming Z. You can see it. This is forming Z. It's forming Z. So if this is 40, this inner will equally be what? 40 degree. And if this is what? 50, here must be what? 50 degree as well. Because here is also what? Forming Z. Now, we are asked the bearing of what? B from what? A. From A means they are asking you what? A. Bearing A. Bearing A is the question they are asking you now. But with respect to what? B. Take note. Now, I will move this from the north of what? A. Till it touches the line that connects what? AB. This is the line that connects AB. If I clean this line, there's no more connection. Take notes. Now, the angle form will be 90 degree plus 90 degree plus 40 degree. So, bearing of B from A equals 90 degree, which is northeast, plus another 90 degree, which is southeast, plus my 40 degree here, which equal to what? 180 degree plus what? 40 degree. giving me 0, 12, 2 carry 1, 2, giving me 220 what? Degree. So the bearing of B from A is 220 degree, which can be converted to what? 3-figure bearing to give me what? This is 180, this is 270. So it's greater than 220. So if I say 220 minus 180 will give me what? 40 degree. So this is 40 degree, and this is what? South, and this is west, which is also equivalent to south 40 degree what? West. So this is my what? Answer. Now, how do we, if let's assume this is an objective examination, and they say you see that the bearing of A from B, which is B, is 40 degree, then the bearing of B from A will simply be what? 180 degree plus what? 40 degree. Why? Because the angle made from A from B is less than 90 degree. I told you when the angle is less than what? 90. When the angle is less than 180 degree, you simply add 90 degree to the angle what? Given. So bearing, using the shortcut, bearing of B from A will be equals to what? 180 degree plus what? Theta. Why? Or you say theta plus 180 degree, you add 180 degree to it when the angle is less than what? 180 degree. So this, if it's an objective examination, you simply go for this. This is less than 90. So the reverse or the backward bearing is 180 degree plus the angle that is less than what? 180. Take note. So this, I did this simply to give you a perfect understanding when we fully go into what? Bearing. And this is same as saying 40 degree plus 180 degree, which is equals to 220 what? Degree. So this is the answer to this. Let's check for another question. If the bearing of X from Y is, let me say 240 degree, comma, find the bearing of Y from X. Solution. Now, I'll treat it the basic way, then you should know the shortcut. From Y simply means the bearing of Y is 240 degree. So Y have the bearing. And 240 is between which quadrant? Second is between southwest. So we can have something like this. So I'll take this as my what? I'll take this as my south, and this is my what? West. And this happens to be my Y. So 240 degrees greater than 180, but it's less than 270, so it should be between southwest. So if I draw something this way, I will have this. Now, 240 minus 180. 240 minus 180 will give me 60 degree. So I have here left to be what? 60 degree. Because 240 from the north to here is 240. And if I remove my 180, which is north south, I'll have 60 degree left. If I have 60 degree, then to get my bearing of Y from X, this is my X, I will move from the north of X till it touches the line that connects them. And you can see that this is alternate to this. So here should be what? 60 what? Degree. Look at it. Alternate angle forming what? Z. So here is 60. So here must be 60. So the bearing of Y from X is the angle from the north of X till is the angle subtend from the north of x till it touches the line that connects what? X, Y, this line. So from the north of x till it touches here is simply the alternate of this, which is 60 degrees. So my angle is equal to what? Which is the back bearing of x, y, which is y from x, is what? 60 what? Degree. Now, in examination conditions, assume is an objective examination. Since this is greater than what? 180, you simply say back bearing, which equals y, bearing of y from what? X, will be equals to what? Theta minus what? Where is it? Theta, yes, minus what? 180 degrees. This is greater than 180. And my theta is 240. So I have 240 degree minus what? 180 degree. This will give me 0. Into 14 will give me 8, 6. And into here, 0. So we have 060 degree as my what? Bearing. Thank you. So let's start bearing in full now.